we are refilming the original Milo tutorial.
This is pretty exciting.
It is exciting. We introduced you when we filmed ponies way back when in the mill, and now we are refilming ponies because we have better techniques, better fiber, better tools, a little more know-how, better filming setup, and it's a great project. It's one of my favorite projects.
I'm pretty sure we're going to reuse some of the same jokes, though.
Yeah, that's okay. Nobody remembers.
Right.
I don't remember a joke from 1 hour to the next.
Me either.
So today we're going to refilm ponies, and we're making sassy ponies. They're a level 3. It's a great way to improve upon your armature skills and your sort of refinement and details. I'd say something like the sheep and the goat are a little more simple. Things like the fox and the pony. It's all the same concept, sort of the same size, but you need to get a little bit more detail and refinement. There's a few more detailed steps. So we have our pony supply pack, and I have my felting surface and needles. I'm going to be using the Renzulli tool and the face ace, along with, just pliers and scissors and your basic needle felting tools. And I'm excited to share some updates with you, including the fur for the mane and tail. We're going to use the plumage technique to make the tail. So there's a lot of updates to the project.
Question.
Yes.
What is the hardest part about learning to ride a pony?
I don't know what. I mean, I do know from personal experience, but you tell me.
The ground.
That's absolutely what I would have said. We had a little gray Shetland Welsh pony mix named Molly that I learned to ride on. First of all, imagine like a barrel, just perfectly round. And so you're sitting on this barrel and there's nothing to grab onto because there's no angle. It's totally round. And they're very small and bouncy. And when you don't know how to ride yet, you're just bouncing around and you sort of like bounce to the right and bounce to the left. And then the ponies are so smart. And then she would just make a tiny little move and I was on the ground.
Wow.
Yes. I landed in many streams. I think she just was trying to prove some point. I don't
Yeah, she's like, know. You're not riding me if I don't want you on here.
So, but she was a lot of fun.
I gotta have respect for that.
Yeah. Let's get started.
Okay.
Milo, are you ready?
I am ready.
We're going to open the supply pack. We landed on Dapple grays. When we used to have the original ponies, we had a few colors.
Yeah.
So you could watch the tutorial and see, I didn't make all of the different colors, but You could see the different colors. It wouldn't be too hard to make a pony of a different color.
A bay, a buckskin.
Right, like you could watch the Dapple gray first, and then you'll know what to do and which fibers do what. So I have a lot of off-white chunky core and my wires, and then we have some accent colors. So this is Sarafina white, which makes our pony nice and white. And then we have our fur. This will be the tail and the mane. And a variety of grays and black to transition on the grays and the legs and the dapples. And so it's a simple armature, very much like the sheep or goat or fox. We have 2 wires. One is 22 and one is 24. So you're going to find the 22 inch and bring the ends of the wire together to find the center. And give that a pretty good pinch. And then we're going to twist 4.5 inches. And when I twist, I put my hand inside the wire and twist the wire gently and evenly. That way it's easy on your hands and it's easy on the wire because you're not fatiguing it by twisting it too tightly. So I want to go 4.5. Right there is good. And then 2 inches is your pony's head and 2.5 inches is your pony's neck. So we'll find the center of the second wire. So because this is a level 3 tutorial, I am proceeding as if you have made level 1s and level 2s. So I'm not starting from the very beginning in terms of instruction and terminology. I'm assuming that you've made some armatures and understand the process, the needle felting process as a whole. If you don't, definitely enjoy the tutorial, but make sure that you make something that we have as a level 1 and work your way up. You'll have a lot more fun with it. Okay, so the second wire, we put the middle onto the base of the neck from the front of the pony. So we have a short wire and a long wire. This is going to be the front leg, and this is going to be the back and the hind legs. So we're going to twist these together 2 times, and they're going to end up exactly where they are, but we'll have 2 twists in the shoulder. So I always twist them internally towards the center of the pony and evenly. And these I do a little bit tighter than my general wire twisting together. So that was 1 and that was 2, meaning that this came back to its position 2 times. And then I'll do this side. 1, 2. So the remaining length of the front legs is approximately 5 inches. Now I'm going to bring the back wires together, and I like to keep this triangle because that gives you the width of the chest. And then I want to twist a total distance of 4.5 inches from the front leg to the end of the twist. It's amazing how many animals that the head and neck length is the same length as their back. Let's do one more there. So I have 4.5 inches from the front leg to the end of the twist at the back. And the remaining length of the hind legs should be about 6 inches. Okay, now we're going to put some bends in the legs to represent the joints. So we have an elbow at 1 inch, and then the pony's, we're going to call it his knee, will be in the center of that. And then at 3 inches, we have the fetlock. So I want 3 inches. The elbow at 1 inch, and then 3 inches from the elbow, a forward bend. And then we want about 1/2 inch of hoof. So I have about 1 inch of wire left here. I'm just going to take that and fold it right around. And I want that pretty tight. You don't want a big loop there. You want it as a fold. Like that. And then on the hind legs, I have the stifle at about 1 1/4 inch. That's a forward bend. So really in animals and in us, the shoulder blade area and the hip area match each, sort of mirror each other. So in most four-legged animals, the elbow is even with the stifle. Like you'll see that it all lines up. And then from that, I want to go 1 3/4 inches and do his hock. And then from the hock, I want to go 1 3/4 inches. And again, that leaves us about 1 inch of foot. This wire is a little longer. Don't be afraid to trim.
Be afraid to trim.
And then fold these around at about 1/2 inch. And then I always like visit my armature and make sure that it stands squarely, and make sure that the legs are in the proper sort of pony position. In other words, you don't want them like splayed out, or you don't want them in German Shepherd position. You want them as a pony would stand. So I like to, all through the process, I will stand up my sculpture and make sure that things are standing as they should be. So just turn the page, and my notes on my feet were 3/4 inch, which is maybe where you'll end up anyway. But so from the pastern to the end of the hoof, or the end of the bend, it's more like 3/4 inch. 1/2 inch is going to be a little bit short. So get that situated. I can use, let's see, how many pipe cleaners did I give us here? One's for the tail. I think I can use 1 pipe cleaner on the front legs. So if you find the center of your pipe cleaner, put it over the pony's shoulders and very loosely wrap it down each leg. If you do it too tightly, you won't have enough to get to the bottom. And then you just want to fold the end of it over the wire there. Yeah, I'm going to be short on this side. Let me see, recenter here. It's like just enough to get away with 1 pipe cleaner, but you could use 2 if you need to. It's just enough when you're centered.
What do you call a pony with a sore throat?
A little horse?
Yes. What do you give the sick horse? The horse.
I don't know what.
With the sore throat.
What?
Cough stirrup.
Doesn't make any sense.
It does.
It does.
Stirrup is like syrup, and it's a play on words.
And then another wire goes from the back of the body around the back. And then when I get to the chest, I just come up through the center of the chest. And then you want to go neck and head and fold the tip over the nose. Now, I know that 1 pipe cleaner does not work for both hind legs, so you have a pipe cleaner for each hind leg, and you could leave it sticking up a bit. So about 3 inches sticking up. Wrap down the hind leg, and then fold the bottom over the toe, getting them all covered up so that we can wrap our wool and it'll be nice and secure. Because of the way that we're going to make the tail, which is using using the plumage technique, we're going to actually make the tail. It's going to be one of the first things that we do. So that's exciting.
Yeah, the ponytail is fun.
So you have one more pipe cleaner, and you want to find the center. So for the first piece of fur that we put in the tail, we want to go a little bit heavy because this is going to be, the longest piece and the initial piece. So I take the fur and hold it by the fringy edge and just pull, and you'll get a nice section. This is about what you want to use moving forward. I'd call that sort of like a 1/4 to 1/2 inch section. But for the first one, we're going to use twice that much.
Is this the first project that you've ever started with, like, a fancy top coat first?
I know, it might be. We're always wrapping with core. Now, if you want your tail to be extra long, sassy ponies need to be extra, then offset your fold so that one side is longer than the other. And that'll place a bit more length to the fur. And then give that a twist and a half. So now our second piece, see how this has a divide here? And I have this Y. Our second piece is going to drape into that divide. And again, I could offset it just a little bit. So now see how I'm sort of crisscrossing and filling that hole. And on these twists, you need to get this really tight because that is the only thing that's locking down the fur into position for eternity. I'd say do about 7 of these.
Do you keep offsetting it?
I do. I try to, so I can see my part. So I want the next one to be lined up to come over this part. And then at this point, I can just put the center, I can center the fur because it's not going to get any longer. So that was 4, I think.
So ponies have thicker manes and tails than horses.
They do generally. Did you find that on the interweb?
I did. It's a fact. Pound for pound, ponies are stronger than horses.
Yes, and they have kind of like I don't know how to put it, like a stronger sense of self. I don't know if that's awareness or intelligence or I'm not sure what that quality is. That's why they're sassy. Do one more. I don't know where I am. I lost count. Although my Nakota mare was extremely intelligent. Okay, and then when we're finished, I want to twist about 1.5 inches of pipe cleaner. 1 inch, I guess, is enough. twist pipe cleaner. Oh, I said 4 times. That's the way I put it. So something about there. And then in your fiber, I'll identify these fibers for you. We have oats, light gray, dark gray, and black. These are all core fiber, and then you'll find a Shetland gray. And this has a longer staple, and I'm going to use this to sort of integrate the tail to the pony and also for the dapples. So I want to take a nice little section of that and wrap the base of my tail here. Just that last several twists. And then you can let the end kind of incorporate with the fur. Then you could put one small folded piece. So I'm going to point this down onto the tail, felt along the wrapped wire. And this will just make everything look as one, and then fold this over.
You can't do that with the fur because the fur will not felt.
Right, the wool
like
is like the transition. Oh, this is a long ponytail I've made here. I can't remember back when we filmed this if my hair had ponytails, if it was long or short. If it was in the middle, it was probably short.
I think it was short.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, I left these 2 wires thinking that it could help hold the tail, but I think they have to go. Because this is going to be what holds the tail on. So I just want to get those out of the way. And then position this so that it comes up off the back, and give yourself a little bit of space because this is going to get built up with wool. So you don't want the tail right down on this back wire or it'll get too encapsulated. You want to have a little bit of pipe cleaner area sticking up off the back here. And then I'm going to wrap these onto the back. I don't usually crisscross wire, but since this is going to get very much covered with core wool, should be good. And then once I'm finished the pony, I like to wet the fur and kind of crunch it, and it gives it this is before wetting and this is after. All right, time to start wrapping. We're going to use our off-white chunky core, and I'm going to start with 6 inches. 6-inch quarters to wrap all the legs. And I just keep my ribbon tight and smooth, go straight down.
There's no pony proverbs.
Really?
Well, it's all
Horse ones. And when I get to the hoof, I'm going to want this in black. So I'm just going to let this taper. And to do that, I pull some extra out so that it's just fringy. And then if you just keep twisting that thin fringe around, it will hold. If you end in a big clump, then it doesn't want to hold on to itself and you have like a big chunk down here. There's a lot to learn from ponies. That's really interesting. So I'm surprised that there's not a proverbs. I could probably spend a little bit of time making some up.
Yeah.
I rode one pony named Fella. So when I was little, I lived in the city, but like I just loved animals. And I asked my parents for riding lessons, and eventually I got them. And so I went to Bellevue State Park, which is in North Wilmington, and they had a lesson program, and I rode this pony named Fella. He kind of reminded me of Molly, except he was Palomino. And he would go in the arena, like in the ring, and go up against the fence so that my feet got caught in the fence and try to rub me off. Like they're
Oh my.
very smart. So you have to be pluckier than the pony. Like, which when you're 9 and weigh, 60 pounds, it was not easy to do. So then, as I think I told this story sometime before in our videos, but as a young adult, I lived in Wilmington and I wanted to get involved with horses again. I think I was about 25, 26. And so I went to Bellevue and they still had Fella.
Aww.
And he was still teaching lessons. Yeah. He was still teaching young people how to have gumption.
Do they get less sassy as they get older?
I don't think
No?
so. Maybe like slightly less energy or spirited. I don't know what the word would be, but they stay smart. So whenever I finish a wrap, I try to anticipate, that I'm ending, pull some wool off so that I have just that thin amount to finish out the wrap. All right, I'm going to get a couple layers on the body and neck, and for that I'm going to use a 9-inch pieces and just split it in half. That way we can cover a little more ground here. So I'm still wrapping smoothly and tightly, just not quite as refined as the legs. So that was one 9-inch half. With the second 9-inch half, I'm going to start and do the chest crisscross. So I can go around the back to get it anchored. And then when I come over here, I want to go over a shoulder and under an armpit, which goes half of the X. And then to make the other half of the X, I need to come over the back, go under the armpit and over the shoulder. And then I'll just finish this out around. Okay, then we're going to do another 9-inch piece in half. If your off-white chunky core is super chunky, this one is not particularly like super chunky. You could do thirds, you could stretch this out a little bit. You want it to be manageable. Like the lengths and sizes I give are a starting point, a guide. I'm gonna start at the base of the neck, go pretty tightly up to the end of the nose and back, whatever that looks like. So when I get to the end of the nose, I angle back, and this is enough just to go back to the back of the head. This one, I'm going to go from the base of the neck to the back of the head and back down. Whenever you go out and back down, it starts to build a tapered shape, like a cone shape. So it'll get wider at the base of the neck and a little narrower towards the head. Okay, I'm going to do another 9-inch piece, split it in half, and I'm going to do the chest and the body again. Over shoulder, under an armpit, over the back, under the armpit, over the shoulder.
So I always knew you didn't want to like startle a horse or a pony from behind. I did not realize that that was one of their blind spots. They have two blind spots.
Directly behind and directly in front. You also don't want to startle them from behind, not just because it's their blind spot, but because that's where their feet are and they're good kickers.
Yeah.
So you always want them to know where you are and talk to them. And the second 9-inch half, I'm going on the body again.
So directly in front of them because of the set of their eyes?
Yeah. I mean, really, you have to be very close. Like, they can see. It's only very close that, I think, that they can't see.
I mean, we all have a blind spot directly behind us.
Yeah, they have having their eyes on the sides of their head gives them a much broader range than we have. What? Add 8-inch quarters on neck and head to get to, I guess, size. Okay. I'm going to take about a 7 or 8-inch piece and this time quarter it so I have a little more control over it. And on the head, I want to go out and back and start to really make that cone shape. So when I get to the end of the nose, I'm angled, and then I want to turn right around. When you get your wrapping skills down pat, you really don't have to stab very much because everything's tight and tapered and locked in. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the neck. Well, a little different because this is a smaller piece. I'm going to start at the base of the neck and kind of linger here a bit to build it up. And then just take the rest up. Start to get that cone shape.
There's over 200 breeds of ponies.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. Someone in our last, one of our last live streams suggested The Gilded Age. It's on HBO.
Okay.
And it's sort of, it's a little bit kind of Downton Abbey-ish. It's set in 1880s, I believe, in New York City. So a lot of horse and carriages. And the show does a really nice job of having a big variety of horses. So some of the carriages are led by ponies and some draft horses. And that's part of the reason I enjoy the show. That and the dresses, the clothing, and the art, and the architecture. We need to build up the tops of the legs a little bit. Oh, what's this piece? This is like a half. I think I used 2/4. I'm going to use this other half on the body. Just kind of get the back of the body a little thicker here. So it's more consistent now. But the show is about like new money versus old society. And I don't know how accurate it is, if it's trying to be accurate, but there's a lot of new money due to the railroad and industrialization and okay. So now we're going to use 6-inch quarters. This pony takes a lot of wool. It's a big belly. And then go down each leg. This one I'm going to go to the knee and back up if I have fiber. So I'm just holding it on the shoulder, keeping the elbow defined, building up the top of the leg muscle a little bit, just a little added realism. Then when I get halfway between the elbow and the pastern, I'm going to go back up. Will you look up pastern and fetlock for me? I always flip them around in my head. It's like there's just some information that my brain is resistant to retaining. It's so strange.
The pastern.
One is the joint, and
The
one
fetlock is the joint.
the fetlock. Yes, okay.
And the pastern is the area between
Below.
the hoof
And the
joint.
fetlock. Got it. Let's see. How can we...
Right, remember that.
Okay, so fetlock starts with F, but it's not closer to the feet. The pastern is closer to the feet, so that doesn't work.
The fetlock locks the foot into place.
That's not giving me the right visual. We'll have to work on this. So I have two
It doesn't do that either, so.
So it's not working. We have 2 more pieces. I'm going to do the same thing on the hind legs, except I'm really just going to go down to the hock. I'm not going to be able to go back up. So just getting a bit more fiber on here. I can go back up a little bit. I don't want to wrap my hock joint yet because I want to do that in a different color. Maybe I can think of it alphabetically, like F is before P. So when you're going down the leg, fetlock is first.
Yes. So you're just getting rolling and I have to go to the vet.
Okay. Next, we're going to wrap our hooves. I did the two most difficult ones. So I'm using about a 3-inch piece of the dark gray. You could use black, but I like the dark gray. And I'm quartering it. And then I want to get right on the end here and ever so slightly crisscross my wrap. That helps hold it on. And go around 4 or 5 times. The ponies are small enough that in scale that you don't really do a fancy hoof. Ponies in real life have little kind of just teeny tiny sort of chimney shaped hooves, pipe shaped hooves. So this technique will work. You could have swax going, but I did not take that route. This is about how much I'm pulling off of my quarters. So 2-inch piece is probably better. Use a single needle on these small areas that have a lot of wire in them. All right, we're ready to start making some shapes. Well, there's one more wrap that I want to do at the top of the leg here. So I'm going to take a 6-inch piece of off-white chunky core and quarter it. And at the top of the leg, I want to start on the body, go around the leg, and return to the body.
So the average pony can drink between 20 and 30 gallons of water a day. Does that seem excessive?
That does seem excessive.
Where's all that water?
I don't know. I'm picturing like a 5-gallon water bucket, and you're really not filling that 6 times a day. We need to cross check. Maybe.
It's How much does a horse drink? No, 5 to 10 gallons.
That sounds more like it.
Well, this pony facts is not factual.
Beware of Google.
Same for a horse.
I like to felt this upper thigh like from the inside out and really sort of begin to flatten it out. If the tops of your front legs don't have that continuity, then take the other quarters and do the same thing. So start on the shoulder, go around the elbow area and return to the shoulder. And that brings it all together.
15,
same thing.
Sorry.
That's okay.
15 gallons in the summer.
Right. Yeah, that sounds right.
And they do sleep standing up and laying down.
Mm-hmm. Find us some famous ponies.
Oh, I have a whole list ready to go.
I'm ready.
I was waiting till you like really had
time.
Not so much teaching to do.
Give me one.
Oh, I have a whole list. So I'm naming the horse, you're naming the movie.
Okay.
Napoleon. You might not have seen the movie.
Napoleon, I feel like, is a gray. Is it animated or real?
Probably both. I don't know.
Is it Black Beauty?
No. But it does have black in the name.
It's not the Black Stallion. It's the Black Stallion?
Napoleon is the gray.
That's what it says. That was like the barn mate, I feel like.
Well, it might be.
Because I had a gray Briar, I feel like, named Napoleon. I don't know. That's familiar to me. It's familiar to me. Okay. Ready for shapes.
Is Black Stallion animated?
No, but the Black Stallion is an excellent movie. It's directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
79.
So good. Highly recommend it. Even if you're not like a horse person.
The old white horse named Napoleon.
Yes, the old white horse. He was the stable mate.
Yeah. You got that.
We're going to make a chest, and we're going to make a 2-inch rectangle on the Renzulli tool with a half of an 8-inch piece. So I'm going to take my 8-inch piece, I'm going to split it in half, and then I'm going to wrap a 2-inch area on the flat part of the Renzulli tool. So whenever we make shapes on the tool, we want to go out and back. That stabilizes the wrap. And then the chest goes from the base of the neck between the front legs, and then just let it end on the belly where it will. So I'm tacking down the sides, and then
you're looking out for the wire.
Looking out for the wire.
This one is very hard.
Okay.
Black Beauty.
All right.
Another hard one.
Give me another horse. Well, that doesn't work, does it?
Another
give me another one.
Tough one is Seabiscuit. It's not helpful. Okay, this horse. How about Ginger?
That was Black Beauty.
Okay, look, you got it. I would have said that was hard. Never would have gotten it.
Also, the more recent Black Beauty is very, very good. You have to get used to the animal. They narrate the animal's thoughts. But it is very, very well done. Okay. And more recent was still probably like 10 to 15 years ago. Okay, so this is a fun step. We take 24 inches, healthy 24 inches of your off-white chunky core, and split it in half. And this technique works really well. And this is from the old tutorial, and it works well, so we're keeping it. Tie a knot in the center, somewhat middle firmness. You don't want to like totally lock it down, but not loose either. So mine's ending up a little wider than an inch. And then the knot has kind of a flat side and then 2 facets on the top. So I'm going to take one end of my roving and go around the facet and around the flat side, and then around the other facet and around the flat side, and then around. It's kind of like like when you make a football out of paper. It's a bit of a triangle shape. Then I take this one and do the same thing. So I go around this side, and then I go around this side, and I'm tugging a little bit to hold the shape, to give the shape a nice form. And this makes good pony bumps. I think belly bumps. I feel like we did this on the goat too. Okay, give me another one.
Dynamite.
Oh.
I think it's pretty old. I don't know if I ever saw it.
National Velvet?
No. Someone out there is yelling because they know it. It's from Zorro. Did you ever see Zorro?
Oh, I love Zorro, but did not recognize the horse name.
Yeah. How about this is a TV show. Bear.
Don't know that
I
one.
also did not watch this TV show. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Oh.
Do you watch that?
I did a little bit.
Yeah. Well, her horse was named Bear.
Okay.
How about Artax?
Don't know that one. That's completely unfamiliar.
Never-ending Story?
Okay.
I don't know that movie.
That movie starts very sad with a horse stuck in a bog.
Well,
Okay, your
that's
belly
probably
shape
Artax in the
goes
bog.
flat side up towards the top, pointy side down, and kind of just let it taper towards each leg. And I'm setting it down on the side of the wrapped armature a little bit. You don't want it right up on the side, so you can see a little bit of the wrapped armature there. So it's really hanging down a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's only half?
Yes.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. I'm a little disappointed in myself.
No,
that I
don't
know
be.
more of these horses because
Don't be.
I do love the horse shows.
Shadowfax?
Shadowfax. Is that also Never-Ending Story? We got the AX words. Don't know that one.
Lord of the Rings?
Not a Lord of the Rings person.
Me either. Joey?
Nope.
Warhorse?
Oh, Warhorse was good. I went to Broadway to see Warhorse. Okay, we need to make 2 ghost butts with 3 inches. So we're going to take 3 inches whole off-white chunky core. And we're going to draw a nice big ghost on that. So I've got them going horizontally on my felting surface. I'm going to do a nice big like silver dollar ghost. And I keep the top of the ghost a good 1/2 to 3/4 inch away from the top of the roving because I want to be able to fold that in to bulk up my shape. I want a lot of the wool to come into the shape. So we're not getting it like flat. We're getting a lot of dimension to it. And you can also stab in from the edges to get that. And you'll see where this shape goes. We always recommend watching the tutorial so that you understand where, the next step of where these pieces are going. And that gives you a better roadmap to why you're making it, how to make it.
If you do that, you are to be commended.
I know. It's a lot to count on just my verbal and or visual instruction. Like, you know, the more familiar you become with the project, the more success you're going to have. So I've really tried to make a nice half circle, and they are going to go on the butt. I need to round this out. It's a little pointy. Make sure this one's good. All right, so the idea here is to give the look of the round pony butt from the side. I mean, it does give it the dimension it needs from all directions. So fringe goes down towards the stifle and up on to the back. And this hangs just beyond the armature. This is why we gave our tail a little bit of space. I'm going to put this on each side.
How about Cisco, the horse?
That sounds like a Western. That sounds like a John Wayne or...
It is not.
What is it?
Dances with Wolves?
Oh. I wonder if that was the main horse. Must be.
How about Pie?
That's National Velvet.
Yep.
Also a great movie starring Andy Rooney and Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh.
She was young, and I think she did like most of the riding. And it's about a girl who wanted to be in the Grand National, which is a huge steeplechase race, and they only allowed boys, so she cut all her hair off. Oh, I always get one leg longer. You're not alone out there. Okay, now we're going to make 2 triangles, and they're going to make the point of the hip bone right here. So same thing. We're going to pull 3 inches. But instead of making a ghost, we're making a triangle. So I get the center, and then I draw an arrow. Nice and open, about not quite 90 degrees, almost 90 degrees. A little bit of 1/2 inch of wool at the top so that can come into the shape, and then flop these over so that all this fiber is coming into the shape. And with the shapes, you want to stab enough to make the shape, but not so much that you can't also shape it onto the project. Okay, go ahead.
Silver.
That's the Lone Ranger.
Yeah. A lot of them are the name of the show.
Yeah, there's a problem. Sort of defeats the purpose of the game. Okay, so the fringe is going to go towards the butt, and the point of the triangle is going to create the front hip bone. And you want these shapes to just come over the back And sort of meat on the back. They sometimes have like a dimple down their back, ponies, because they're all chunky and so these shapes create that.
Do you know Gulliver and Pilgrim?
It's like familiar, but I'm not getting like I feel like I'll know it when you say it.
The Horse Whisperer?
Oh.
I seriously have not seen these.
That was a good movie. So Scarlett Johansson was young in that movie.
Okay.
And so what's her name? Something Scott. And Robert Redford. Yeah, that was a big deal when it came out. We're going to take 6 inches, split it in half. This is kind of like the chest, but we're making it a little bit smaller. Still going for about 1.5 inches, I'd say, because we're going to stretch this out a little bit. So you go out and back. 2 of those. And they're going to go from the elbow to the withers and start to create the horse's shoulder.
Did you know multiple horses were used to portray the Black Stallion?
Yes, which is pretty typical for horse movies,
Yeah.
I think. But the main horse, I believe, had been highly trained for a woman. I feel like she was handicapped in some way.
Okay.
I can't remember how. And so her horse was like really highly trained to help her.
Cass Olay, I don't know how you say it, I assume, is in most of the film, but he had white legs and a star that had to be painted
Yeah, they had
black,
to black it out.
But there were 4 horses they used for that.
The opening scene, or one of the scenes early on in that movie, is really elaborate shipwreck, and the boy and the horse are thrown into the ocean and have to get to safety. Is incredibly done. And the whole first part of the movie, there's no dialogue. Like it's just the boy and the horse. So it's really visually interesting. So I'm letting these 2 shoulder pieces come together at the top and create the withers. So it's this little bony protrusion on the spine at the base of the neck. Ponies don't have big withers, so this will it looks a little sticking up right now, but it'll get encapsulated in the neck. So now we need to wrap this whole thing to sort of pull it together and make it all look whole. Before I do, I'm going to roll a shape and put it in here. That's quite a big dip, and we want this to level out a little bit. Okay, so I have this piece here. I'm just going to fold it in my fingers like an 1-inch wide fold. And I think that's about enough. That was a half of a 6 or 8 inch piece. And then that way, because I fold it in my fingers, it's nice and soft. and I can just tuck it where it needs to go. Okay, now we're going to wrap this whole thing with a half of another 24-inch piece. And the belly comes together underneath. It's meant to become one, kind of. So I go around here, slight angle, come around this way. I'm going to go right around the middle, and I'm keeping this tight, but very ribbon-like, so that it's smoothing things out rather than making more dense.
Scarlett Johansson was 13 and had no horse riding experience before.
Yeah, there's a kind of big natural horsemanship movement that happened around that time that movie was made and the book was written, and which is a good direction, I think. I feel like horse movies are generally good. All right, this will need more stabbing, but that's where we are. Now, it looks a little weird because we're going to do the neck now, and that will give you a better proportionate look at things.
Ponies have very thick necks.
They do. They have very stout necks. Okay. 12 inches. Quartered. And the Face Ace is a great tool for this because it has a natural taper, and we want the neck, the crest and the throat latch of the neck to do that. If you don't have the Face Ace, you can use a pencil or the round side of the Renzulli tool. But I want to go about, let's say 2.5 inches, and then turn around and go back. And I'm getting this pretty tight. We're going to do that 2 times. And if one seems a little bigger than the other, that's going to go on the top. And you want the big end to meet the withers and the small end to come up to the back of the head. And this gets tacked on, but it is not going to be very stable. It's the wrap that will really hold this on. We're kind of just tacking it on to be able to wrap it. And then this one, I might want to give a little roll to, just lengthen it and thin it out a little bit. So now it's more like almost 4 inches. And the thin side is going to go up into the throat latch, like so, curve onto the head. And the thick side comes down to the chest. Like so. Then I'm going to wrap that whole thing, and that's what's really going to hold it together. I think this is a half of something. The other half of the 12-inch piece. So I'm just going to start with that. I might not need it all. But I want to keep these shapes in place. Like, don't let the wrap sort of pull them out of place. And go up. And then I'll just come back real thin and wide on this one. So the ponies are like they're like a little horse doodle, little horse sketch. We don't get, super complex in the musculature and the details. We're just trying to make a sort of a suggestion. Okay, then we just want a soft pillow on each side to connect the shoulder to the chest. So I'm going to take 6-inch quarters and in my hand fold sort of like the width of my finger, like not quite a full inch. It might become a full inch, but take a little bit of that off. And then that goes at an angle, kind of the same angle that the neck, perpendicular to the direction of the neck, from the shoulder towards the chest. Fills in that space a little bit. You got another one?
How are you with how about cartoon?
Can try it. I don't feel like there's that many horse cartoons.
No, the name of the horse is Khartoum.
Khartoum?
Khartoum.
Khartoum. Khartoum. That sounds Black Stallion-ish.
It's from The Godfather?
Oh, boy. Oh, no. Is it the one that was like, never mind. Never, ever saw The Godfather and have like zero interest. Isn't that funny?
But there are a lot of cartoons.
What do you mean?
Like Disney movies.
Oh, cartoons.
How about Frou Frou?
Don't know.
That's from the Aristocats. Apparently there was a horse in the Aristocats.
Wow.
Captain? 101 Dalmatians also apparently had a horse.
We got a nice little pony shape going on here. Okay, before we get into the face, we're going to work on some leg details. And there's a lot of, different choices you can make here. I think I did my knees and hocks in the dark gray and then a little light gray blending kind of going each way. So to do a knee, I take a thin strip, maybe about 3 inches long. And the trick here is to really keep this narrow and localized. And use a very slight angle crisscross. So I'm heading towards my left. Now I'm pulling this down and heading over to the right. And that will make a nice little bump for your pony's knee. And you don't want to do too much more than that. So take the extra off.
So do they have like knobby knees compared to horses, or do they all have?
Not really. It's just like the suggestion of the joint. It's at this size, it's a little hard to get too much more detailed than that. Ended up a little bit high, but I think we're going to be okay. Okay, and I want to make this one a little bit more narrow.
How about Gunpowder, the horse?
Don't know.
The Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
Oh,
That's a good horse name.
that is a good horse. Makes you think that horse has some get up and go.
Mm-hmm. Is that what the Headless Horseman rode, I'm assuming?
I guess so. That was one of my first bigger, more elaborate needle felting pieces.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
the Headless Horseman. Okay, on the hock, we're going to take a strip. Same thing. Take a narrow strip. We've got about 4 inches here. And then I'm going to exaggerate the bend a little bit. And then start on the upper bone, cross through the middle, and go onto the lower bone. And just keep doing that, avoiding the point. If you keep crisscrossing, you'll get a nice triangular shaped joint. And that's probably good. And then I'll do the same thing on this side.
I never read the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
I don't think I ever read it. I don't know that I even really know the story. All I know is Ichabod Crane.
Yeah, he borrows a horse named Old Gunpowder, apparently.
And we want to do a similar joint wrap around all of the fetlocks.
It was published in 1820.
Wow.
I feel like it's not an easy read.
So a little bend there to show the joint. And I'm going to use the light gray. Pull myself some thin strips.
This is a light gray core, not the
light gray core, right? And then do the same thing as the hock, like crisscross. You could exaggerate the angle a little bit. Should be about a 45. I've got a stronger angle going than that. Crisscross that to build up a little joint, and then stab it. Horses, it's just so fascinating to me, because in 1820 horses were it. Like, that's how you were getting from A to B. That's how you were building anything or plowing, or it was an everyday, like everybody was around horses. So the key with these is a thin strip, keep your angle. It's almost like the belly knot. It's a triangle. It's flat on one side and angled on the other two sides. Okay, I'll do the front legs.
There's a Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Sleepy Hollow, New York, with a gravestone for the Headless Horseman.
So it's a true story.
Well, they think it's true-ish.
Interesting.
Because it happened around the Revolutionary War.
We should read it.
I'll have to get my smart pants on.
Do you wear those every day? Or?
I mean, no. It takes a lot of effort. In keeping with the Sleepy Hollow. Not really. Don't let that confuse you. What do you call a horse that stays up late?
I don't know what.
A nightmare. It fits a Sleepy Hollow vibe a little bit.
Yeah. All right, now we need a little coloring in between, and I'm going to stick with the light gray. You could use the oats, or let's see what this does here. Do a thin strip. Just go from knee to fetlock, very thin, because we just want to add color. We don't want to bulk up too much. It's like barely a layer of fibers. And then maybe a little bit over the knee. the stab through helps kind of eliminate the rapid, wrapped look too. And then at the top of the foot, I think I'll switch to oats just to give a little delineation. I'm taking a small amount, thin strip, and just wrapping at the top of the hoof here. And that'll show me, like, we don't want the hoof to come all the way to the fetlock. We want to create that pastern area. So this is making that distinction for us. Like that. That looks pretty good. And we can do this treatment. I'll do a hind leg, but we're going to do all 4 legs. So I need my light gray going from the hock to the fetlock.
That's how you could remember.
Hock to fetlock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working so far. The F.
You need to make up a song.
Mm-hmm. And then a little bit of oats. And then on the hind leg, I'll probably go a little higher with the light gray. Maybe take a 4-inch piece and take a quarter. Half is going to be too much. I'll save the other quarter for the other side. And I can do a bit of a kind of a blend into the butt shapes that we added here. So I'm going to go down very thin and then angle back up. It just depends. You could put white legs on your ponies. Depends on how. So grays, horses and ponies, are born almost black. And then they lighten over the years. So there's a famous breed of horses called Lipizaners. They are the horse of the Spanish riding school of Vienna. And they're white, but they're born dark gray. And then the older they are, the more light they get. Alrighty, so you're going to do this to all 4 legs. We finished our legs. It's little color changes and details. And now we're going to work on the face, the head and face. And then we need to cover the entire pony in the Sarafina white and do some dapples. So let's get started on the face. I'm going to do one more wrap. I want it just a little bigger than this cone is here. So I'm taking a quarter of a 6-inch piece, and yours might be different. Just go visually on this. but still looking for that triangle or cone shape taper. And notice that the neck is coming into the head, helping to make it wider at the back. I don't like that one. I don't know why I have it.
At what point should people have reference images? They should be using them for pony size, right?
All along the way, yeah. All along the way to see the body shapes and the face shapes and the legs. I just have made this so many times, and it is slightly stylized. It's not as realistic as the horse. So I'm going with sort of what's in my mind's eye, but definitely I always have reference pictures. Horses and ponies have become to me very imprinted on my brain. But thank you for bringing that up. I usually do have my laptop open with some reference pictures.
Well, by this point, you definitely do. You're just using your pony prowess.
I am. Okay, so the face is this nice cone shape. I'll give you a few measurements here. I've got, it's like a 1/2 inch at the end, and then 3/4 of an inch in the middle, and then 1 inch towards the back. So that's the kind of size that I'm starting with. It's nice and tight, so that as we add our shapes, they will build right into this wrapped armature. And that's a big part of what I see in face details as people are learning the craft, is taking the shapes and then, making sure that the shape has either a fuzzy edge or a little bit of softness, so that when you do add it to the wrapped armature, it's becoming one with it. Sometimes you'll have sort of floaty pieces that aren't fully attached. So just keep that kind of in your mind as you're making your shapes and putting them on. We're going to start with 3 sort of bumps, and 1 will be a chin bump and 2 will be eye bumps. And we're going to use the face ace, and I'm going to use some core wool. Actually, let me start with a whole piece so of all that core, this is what I have left. I made a few little other pieces. I'm going to take a 4-inch piece and quarter it.
What do you call the pony that lives next to you?
Your neighbor?
Yes.
Actually, I was just looking at my notes, and it's 2 2-inch quarters. So I have 2 4-inch quarters. I'm going to split those in half this way, and then 3 of those will be my bumps. And I'm going to wrap the face ace about 3 dots up. Nice and tight little seed. I'm not doing any traveling. I'm just going right around. So I'm going around about 4 times. So I am taking a little bit of this off. One, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm just pulling the extra off and smoothing that out. Okay, so 2 are going to go on each side as a little bit of width on the top of the head for the eyes. So I want the fuzzy edge of the shape going onto the forehead and the other fuzzy edge going towards the cheek. And I'm a little bit folding the shape to keep dimension, to keep the bump. So I'm not really stabbing the center of it. There it is from the top.
Entering the alien phase.
I know. So there it is from the top. They're towards the back of the head. It's not, it's not in the middle. They're up towards the top. But there is some distance between the eye and where the ear will go. So make sure to keep that. I have like 2 fingers between the eye and the end of the nose. And then the third one is going to make a little chin bump, and I'm going to put that across underneath. And I want to keep this nice and tight. We don't want this to sprawl. Oh, that needle has seen better days. Okay. In general, I work with 38s. Every once in a while, I pick up a 36, and then I use 40s. I rarely use the 42 unless I'm working on a face, but everybody has different preferences. All right, already starting to change. Now we're going to make 2 ghosts. And we're going to make a nice round, almost like 3/4 of a circle. And it will be the cheek. And so we want this nice and finished. It comes up towards the ear, comes around and makes the cheek. And then we actually give it an extra fold to make this cheekbone. So let's see, I did not write an amount. Let's take 3 inches of core and split it in half. This needs to be somewhat robust and then restack that. So I'm ending up with like a 2-inch square. Whoops, my pieces were not even. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Sarafina white on that. Might as well get the top coat going. It'll help make it easier to blend everything together. So the fiber is all going horizontally, and then I need to flip it over. And then I'm going to draw the circle. Notice I'm leaving fiber around the edge so that I can pull it into the shape. Did I flip that one? Yeah. And when you make these shapes, the stabbing into the felting surface is purposeful. I don't pull the shape off until I've pulled the fiber into the center, because this sort of locks a little bit of fiber into the burlap, and then as you pull it in, this line stays established. I'm making this the size of about 1/4. It is 1 1/4 inches across. Okay, so I'm going to pull the fiber in, trying to get it all evenly within that shape. Now I'll lift it off and stab it some more. So there's a good bit of loft and dimension to this. I'm elaborating because often these shapes can end up too flat. And since this is a sculpture, we need the dimension. Every once in a while, we need a flat shape like the ear or when we make the lip. Okay, now this is a fun, I think, addition to this shape is to take the fringy edge, this is your ghost, it's upside down, and fold half of it over like this, and that's going to make the cheekbone. And we have to do this asymmetrically. So on this side, it'll be there.
It's hard for some of us.
And on this side, it'll be over here.
Then you got to flip it around and figure out the way that it's supposed to go on. Yeah. Challenge for some of us.
Yes. So this one will go on the pony's left. Because I want this coming up to the ear. It looks like a comma.
Okay.
Kind of. I want this going up to the pony's ear, and I want this creating a cheekbone under the eye. If you look at images, you will see what I'm talking about. Let your fringe blend with the head. And then just really stab that cheek onto the side of the wrapped. Now, I want to keep this in the place that it's intended to be. I don't want it to go down the neck, so I'm stabbing in at the edges a little bit. But I will shape this more once I have a few more components here. These are a little big. My pieces are a little big, but I think I'm okay. Might take a little more stabbing.
So there's no pony proverbs, but there are pony idioms.
Okay. What's an idiom exactly? Is it like a saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a dog and pony show.
Well, what does that mean?
It says an elaborately organized event used mainly for promotion. Like the car dealership had quite the dog and pony show in an attempt to get rid of their old inventory.
Funny. Okay, we're going to make a shape just to fill in the space between the cheeks and the chin, and I'm just going to wrap the face ace. I still have those 2 4-inch halves. That's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to make 2 tapered, kind of flat, like if you took a carrot and squished it, and one's going to go here and one's going to go here. So I'm going to work between the 1, 2, 3, third and fourth. So I want this flat, about that full inch in distance, and down and back. Down and back, and then I don't want much more than that, so I'm going to pull that off. And then same thing with the second one. There's tons of horse idioms.
Yes.
So many of the things we say are horse related, because like what we were talking about, they were such a part of our daily lives.
I've never heard play the ponies.
Oh, I don't know that one.
To make bets
Yeah.
on horse races. My father used to take me and my brother to play the ponies. Pony up. That's one I definitely have heard.
So the wide end is going to go between the cheeks, and the narrow end is going to meet the chin. So just visually finishes out that shape a little bit. And then on the other one, the wide end is going to meet the forehead, like where the two eye bumps come in, and the narrow end is coming down towards the nose. And if you can and want to, you can stab a dent in the center, first get it attached. And that can be a little bit more realistic. All right, so we need a nose ghost. That's a fun one to make. It can be flat, and you can get a little gray, dark gray onto these two shapes. So I'm going to start with about an inch of gray. Light gray. And then I'm going to put a little bit of dark gray. That is actually a little bit wimpy. I'm going to go more like, I'm going to spread it out to more like kind of 2 inches, but thin. I'm going to put a little dark gray at the end. I'm going to try blending. I haven't done this before, but I'm going to try blending the light gray, the Sarafina white, and the oats. The oats is a pretty warm color, so I'm just trying to make a light gray that has a little bit more coolness to it. Get a little bit more gray in there. Might use this in a few other places as well, like on the legs.
What do you call an Amish guy with his hand in a horse's mouth?
I don't know what.
A mechanic.
I'm going to put this at this end, and then a super thin bit of gray over the middle, and that gives me a really nice taper. So that's a 2-inch square on the thin but even side. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to draw my nose ghost, make the center, and it's about like a kind of like a tongue depressor, or like a little wider than your thumb, maybe about 1 inch wide. And since it's a thinner piece, I'm not leaving as much fiber on the edges, just enough to roll over and make a rounded edge. I'll give you a final dimension here. I'm concentrating more on this end because this needs to kind of fan out and blend with the head. So about 1.25 inches. And then we have a really nice gradient on this side. This is going to be the upper lip, and we can even stab a little bit of nostril into it. I'm going to pull a little bit of this fuzz off. So when you first put it on, it looks very platypus-like because it's kind of sticking off the edge a good 1/2 inch. So I'm going to start by getting this anchored here, and then I'm going to start shaping the end of it. Just letting the fringe come up towards the eyes. It'll make some fun color changes pretty naturally. So these sort of have like a squared off lip. So I'm going to start to sculpt that with the needles. And then I'm going to see if I can dent in a nostril here. So much better on the left side than the right.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Charlie.
Charlie who?
Charlie horse.
Yeah. Is that when you dead leg me? We need to get a lower lip or else he's looking really strange. So we're going to do, I'm just going to use the medium gray. It's not a very big piece and I don't want to overcomplicate it. So just a nice 1-inch light gray. I could take a little bit of this mix and put it on there, I guess. Oh, good. I do have more. I was like, where's all my light gray? So I'm going to draw a ghost. This one's not quite as big. It's more like your index finger. This is just to give us a lower lip to cover that chin bump.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Horse. That's one the kids would appreciate.
See, that's my kind of joke. Horse poo. Horse poo.
Did you just say horse poo?
I love taking a word and like making it work for you. Horse doesn't work. I'll make it horse.
Horse.
So I try to get that little like lower lip sticking out, but the rest of it needs to come pretty tight to the chin. And then you don't want a mouth line going like all the way back to the cheek. So you can either add fiber or kind of pull this top piece around to make a corner of the mouth. But you want the corner of the mouth just to be about a 1/2 inch in or 1/4 of an inch in. So same thing over here. I'm taking the top piece over. Like I said, I have quite a bit of sculpting to do, but we're going to keep going with our shapes and then you'll be able to see the head as a whole and what, you know, where you need to stab and what changes you'd like to make. I think it's so fun to work this way, like, you know, getting everything in place and then really refining it. Okay, we need to put eyes and they're going to go right into the bump. So you could like make a little dent, but really the eye goes kind of right on top of the bump and then a brow goes over it. This bump is getting lost altogether. I don't even know where it is. So I might have to make a bigger eye on that side. So that'll be the black. And lately I've just been folding it in my hand. So I take a really thin strip and then maybe about 2 inches. You could wrap the end of a tool. I'll show you both ways. I've been folding it in my hand because it gives me a rounder and slightly softer shape to work with. So just keep folding the edges in and then rolling it on itself until I have a little BB. And then this is a single needle job. And the needle just goes all around the edges, keeping the roundness. And it'll look very sticky outy until we get a, eyelids encapsulating it. Here it is from the top. Get this one on here. I feel like this one's a little bigger, and that's okay because there's a little more of a void on this side. Oops, I was supposed to show the other way. So the eye on the pony and the horse, if you were to draw a line perpendicular to the top of the head, so like this, through the middle of the eye, it should bisect the cheek circle evenly. So if your eye is too far up here, it won't be bisecting the cheek circle. If your eye is too low, it won't be bisecting the cheek circle. So that's a good way to check the position of everything, the eye and the cheek circle. All right, it looks like I'm pretty even in terms of how far they're sticking out on each side. Milo's making some noises over there. And now we want to make 2 brows. So I can use this color that I mixed. Just pull off a little bit. There's a lot of ways to do a brow. It could be a wrap on the face ace, which I think is the easiest. It can be a double-decker taco. You could just fold it in your hands. But basically, you want one side to have some dimension and one side to have some fringe. So if I do it on the face ace, I'm just going around the face ace until I have this nice rounded edge and leaving some fringe. And then I'm going to put that over the eyeball. And I want the majority of the brow to be rocked on the back of the eye, and then it just tapers towards the front corner. Oh, I forgot that I did eyelashes. That's exciting.
That's extra sassy.
What did I use for that? 2, 3. It is extra sassy. Now this needs lower lids because I have a little bit too much space, kind of dent here. I also need to stab my cheeks in from the edge because they're a little bit big, like I thought. I'm going to use plain gray for the lids. Just 2 little pieces. And this I'm just going to fold in my hands because I don't want a lot of shape here, just a real little little edge. I love it when dapple grays have a little smokiness around their eye. So just take the piece and do 2 folds. So that rolled edge goes right under the eyeball.
So now you're doing quite a bit of sculpting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can look at your reference picture, see what shapes you see that need refining. I'm going to be adding some top coat here shortly, but another thing that really helps the pony look is nostrils. So I did sort of try to create a dent. Now, okay, here's something. So on this side, the mouth is coming back too far. So I'm going to take some gray and make sure to really, I'm going to make a little fold and just really define the corner of the mouth. I don't want it back so far.
They have very funny mouths.
Yeah, it's a complex shape. And this lip always, it's a little perplexing because it turns to this angle here. It doesn't I kind of think of them as sticking out, but it does here, but then it turns to an angle. So okay, so a nostril really helps. I guess I'll just use the dark gray. And I want to make 2 C's. Kind of like the brow, but a little tighter. So if I go 1, 2, about like that. Stab this just a little bit because I do want it to stick off a little bit. So I want it to have a little bit of its own defined shape before I put it on. So I have like a little seed with some fringe, and I'll do another one. I'm at the second dot here. 1, 2, and then I'm just going to go halfway around. So I'm defining this front side and leaving the other side fringy. So this is the side that I'm defining a little bit and felting. Because I want it to kind of stick off. So I'm going to make a little C shape, little cup on each side. Like that. You can really see it from the front. giving a little curve at the top and then letting the bottom blend in with the lip. Getting these little details the same on each side is it helps to look at it from the top, but it's something that you're gonna get better and better at as you felt more and more. I'm getting better at it. I'm still not perfect at it.
You're pretty good.
I'm getting there. Alrighty, we need ears. It's looking very dragony.
What?
Horses look very dragony sometimes. Okay. Using oats, I'm going to make 2 1-inch squares. And then I can put a little bit of gray at the top. You could go all the way gray. You could go to dark gray at the tips. Put a little more gray down here. So like a 1-inch square with a little gradient on it. And I just want to stab the heck out of this from both sides. So I'm really trying to sort of make a piece of felt. One thing that will help this shape have stability would be to go vertically on the other side with a little bit of oats. That way the 2 directions of fiber are keeping the shape stable. Basically, we're making a little pre-felt here. And instead of folding the ears into shape, we're going to cut them into shape. If you've made the basket bunnies, you know that we sort of fold them into the almond shape. So since we're going to cut them, that's why we went the crisscross, and then we're doing a lot of felting. I'm still kind of concentrating towards the tips and sides and, leaving the bottom slightly unfelted so that I can felt it onto the pony.
Have you ever, this is a little gross.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of riding the porcelain pony?
I have not.
It's a thing.
What's?
Well.
Oh, go in the bathroom?
Yeah. Like something did not agree and you really have to ride the porcelain pony.
So
it's an
funny.
idiom I've never heard.
It's not widely used for a reason, I think. Oh, that's funny. I'm going to use it. I'm going to start, though.
It sounds fancy. There's one that I'll be sharing off film with you.
I know the one.
Oh, I never knew that one.
You didn't?
No. It's a little startled pulling up the idioms.
Right. I'm going to get the tip of my ear. I said I was going to cut it, but I feel the need to put a little shape on it because I feel like if I cut this, it's going to get too thin. So what I love about this medium is you just go with the flow. All right, so I put a little bit of shape on that. All right, with my scissors, you could put your ears together, face to face, and cut them. So we want to stay wide at the bottom, and then kind of like a little house shape. Then you can start to tuck them, and they can have like a little little dent towards the inside. And if you put a little bit of dark gray at the bottom center, that'll help with depth. So now I'm saying to myself, okay, this ear is going to be the left ear, and this ear is going to be the right ear.
The other one I've never heard is on Shank's pony.
I don't know that one.
Like if somebody has to walk instead of
Yeah.
going by car or bus.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. A shank is like a lead, like a...
It says, well, part of the leg bone. Wait, where is it? A reference to the shank, the lower leg between the knee and the ankle.
What? This is a Google fail. I would think it would mean shank is when you put the lead over the horse's nose so that you could take them somewhere. So I think it would mean walking.
Yes.
But maybe I'm wrong. I've never heard that horse part.
Shanks is an informal word for your legs.
Okay.
In what country?
So I'm folding my ears now to get that little cup shape. I pulled a little bit of extra off. I always make them too big. So I'm giving them a little felting at the bottom to hold them together. And then I'm trying to create that little detail of shape. This one needs a little more dark gray in the center.
So your shanks are your shins.
Okay.
I'm
wrong.
Think about it in terms of like meat, like a lamb shank.
Yeah. It's also what happens to you in prison.
That's the only shank I know. But the lamb shank is above the knee. I don't like that idiom.
We have ears. Oh my gosh. Starting to look like a thing. Ears are going at the top of the head, on the side, back from the eye. Like I said, you want some space between the eye and the ear. And if you think about the way your jawbone comes up into your ear, that's what's happening here with the pony's cheek.
Oh, so nice.
It's like, voila. Not that I don't have a lot of work to do, but it's a face. And this is the point where I'm like, okay, I got to move away from the face for a minute. There's more work to do, but I would like to get the top coat on, and then the mane. All right, we've got the ears. Oh, a neck pelt. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So about 4 inches by 3 inches, we can use a nice wide, like a 3-inch swath of core. And then cover that with Sarafina white. Good grief, I've got a lot of pollution going on here. Okay, and then we're going to stab that flat. So I've got 4 inches and 3 inches. So this is a good, this does a couple of things. It makes the neck a little wider, it covers it in one swoop, and it leaves fringe to encapsulate the mane once we put the mane on. Just want to make sure it's centered. Oh, look, I can even get my cheek covered. If I do that, I just want to make sure that I keep it defined and that the head can move. Like you don't want to lock it down. But this edge should be loose enough that it is okay. And yours might not do that. That's fine. You can add more fiber on the cheek in a bit.
You're getting so close to done. Maybe not.
All right, so we'll leave this fringe sticking up. We'll do a little more Sarafina white, and then we'll put the mane on, and then it'll just be a lot of details. So I'm just going to go across the chest here. This is a lay and stab kind of situation. I'm not shingling or anything like that. It's not furry. We just need to get this nice bright white over the off-white.
What do you call a horse that's not wearing a saddle?
I don't know what.
Naked.
Oh my gosh, we used to have so much fun. In the winter, we rode bareback a lot because it was so cold.
Okay.
And so you could just be warm from your horse. I have a memory of trying to get each other off, which probably isn't the safest thing in the world, but I feel like that's something we did. And then a couple of times, Patience wrapped, also probably not advisable, but I think she had the rope around her waist. I mean, a Western person would put it on the saddle horn.
Okay.
And then it went back to me, and I was on a saucer. And so in the snow, she was like cantering through the snow, and I was on a ride.
That does sound fun.
It was fun. Once we went on a bareback ride, we were out in the fields and woods, and my stepbrother had left his dirt bike out in the woods, and we were going to like make sure it was okay or something. This is so country. And we get there, and she sees some people, like we got there right when she sees some people grabbing it.
Oh.
And she's like, hold on, or something, and then like takes off up a hill.
What?
She's like, are you ready? Or I don't even know what she said to me. And she takes off up a hill, and we were bareback, and my horse just takes off after her horse, no matter whether I was ready or not. And I remember I'm like laying on my horse's back like this, hanging onto the mane, and like just like bouncing around like uncontrollably, like going off to the side, going off to the other side. They dropped the bike. It was two crazy people coming after them on horses. Okay, you want a good like 3-inch piece, and then this will go around this butt shape and kind of pull it all together. So I'm going to start on the outside of the hip here of the butt, and then take it around to the inside.
I want to hear Patience's version of the story.
Yes. Oh yeah, Patience's version will be even better. I don't need quite all that. Yes, we had a lot of adventures. I don't think I did. We could do it, I guess. Let's make a little skin taco. That sounds terrible. A taco to make this little area right here. But I don't think I did it on my first one. All right, I'm going to pull a 2-inch.
A skin taco is almost enough to ruin a taco.
It is enough to ruin a taco. It's almost enough to ruin this video. All right. I have a 2-inch piece of Sarafina white, and I'm going to put a little bit of core across it on the inside. And then I'm going to stab a line across, fold that over, and then just stab it really well. And I'm really going to felt this bottom rolled edge of it. I had a pony. He was an Arab, chestnut Arab. And he was very mouthy, which was fun because that's how he interacted. Like he hated water. Like I had a lot of issues getting across a stream or passing a puddle. Yeah.
That's
but he was mouthy. So once he grabbed a water bucket and like picked it up, and then the water splashed on him and he totally freaked himself out. But I was enjoying some stall time with him, just grooming him and being like a little 14-year-old in heaven. Like, I love my horse, and it was winter and he was nuzzling me and talking to me. And then he grabbed the end of my scarf and started like pulling on it. And I'm like, I can't die this way. I'm only 14. My pony can't kill me. He either stopped or I realized that I could get myself out of the scarf. I didn't die, obviously. I'm here to felt with you and tell the story. So this goes from the stifle to the belly. With the fringe going up. Getting a little rushy here. I'm sort of like, I just want to do the fun part.
The mane, the dapples. What's the fun part?
All
Not
that.
Not what you're doing.
So Sassy knows. Sassy, who works here. You guys know of her. I met Sassy working at Bit of Britain, which was a saddlery, like a tack shop. And she was 12 and I was like, I don't know, 27 or something. And I worked with her mom and she was in there and she was a little firecracker. So Sassy suits her. She's Sara also. We call her Sassy because it's less confusing.
Those are her initials too.
Oh, what's her middle name?
SAS. I don't know her middle name, but it starts with A.
Interesting. We'll have to find out. And anyway, Sassy is a horse person, and
I'm sure she has a lot of pony stories.
Yes, she still has a pony. Yeah, this shape like isn't totally necessary, but we're doing it. I do love the pink pen tool. I just have the wrong needles in there. That's why I keep picking it up and putting it back down. But I'm enjoying this, the wooden tool. It's very comfortable. So now your job is to get the white over the back. You can fuss with color changes on the tops of the legs. So for example, right here, I could use that light gray that I mixed up. I just need a little fuzzy bit. To blend away this. And then a little bit of Sarafina white to take away. I don't need quite that elaborate of a, I don't want that line going all the way across there. During the pandemic, I really started to feel like I was very much missing a horse relationship because it would have been a nice thing to have during that time, because it's a very satisfying thing, and I don't know, I think it would have felt good. I'm gonna let you guys get your white all over, and then we will work on our dapples and our mane. All right, Milo, I did a lot of stabbing.
That's very good.
I still have more to do. I did a little color change on the legs. I used the punch tool all over, sort of smoothing things out and tightening them up. I used the pen tool to sort of sculpt shoulders, backbone, but, kind of denting more where the body shapes would be. So that is what I did. And I have a little more face shading to do here. This is the gray that I mixed. So I'm just going to take it and blend away a little bit of these, like these kinds of color differences here by laying a really thin piece. Doesn't take much. I'm just making color change. So and I can take a look as I go along and see, what else I think the face needs. All right, let's do some mane. This is fun. I like to start with the forelock. So I'm going to take a nice piece of fur and position it as long as I want it. Stab the center. And I can use a little bit, tiny little bit of gray core right there. It doesn't matter if you go across or with it. This is such a small thing. But I'm kind of using that wool as a staple and then folding the fur over. Now, if you want a thicker forelock, you can do that again. To me, one piece is enough, and I'll start going down the neck in the same fashion. So I'm going to take my fur. Again, if you think you want it to fall to one side longer, just offset it and then it can come over longer. If you want it wild and crazy, maybe just center it and it'll just stick up. Need a little bit of core. Well, let me put a few pieces across. That'll save time here. Just get them tacked down.
How do you make a small fortune on horse racing?
I don't know how.
Start with a large fortune.
Exactly. It's so funny. When I was 29, I got work exercising racehorses. And that's like old to get into that. Like everyone else knew what they were doing, you know, and that was a crazy job for many reasons. You're up very early. The horses that you're riding are young and very green, like they don't know what they're doing, and more than I knew what I was doing.
Was this at Fair Hill?
At Fair Hill, yeah. And
you rode them around the track?
I did. Out the gate.
They like ran?
Yeah. So some days you exercise them just to give them exercise. So like at a reasonable pace. And some days you let them work and gallop. Yeah, that was very exciting. Very, very exciting. Nauseating, really. And getting into the gate too. Like that is some crazy stuff. Because when they bolt out of there, and the young horses don't even really do it to the full force that like a horse that's racing might learn to do. But as they go, their butt goes under them like a dog with zoomies. And you really have to like sit forward and hold on because that force is like, and then you're just galloping and you're like, please be good. Please don't spook. Okay, so I have these set in and I'm going to lift them up. And now I'm really going to go at this this fringe here from the side, and that's going to further lock in the main fibers that we just put in. Sort of like pinching them from each side.
This is really fun with the fur.
Mm-hmm. Some sort of schmutz. Now you can either make him very formal and fancy and fold it over and try to smooth it out. I like to spritz it with water and scrunch it up, and that'll make him a little more sassy. So we have a few more details, little eye details and dapples. So I have many details to take care of, but let me show you, well, I'll show you a couple things. A couple more things in your tutorial. We're going to use the gray Shetland to make dapples, and it's up to you how much you want to dapple your pony. I love this technique because it has a really nice result and it's not overly complicated. So I want to take a web of gray Shetland, and you can cut it. This is rather long. It's about 4 inches long. If you cut it, definitely restack it. And then you want to put a thin layer in one direction and then an equally gossamer layer going the other direction. So now you have a little cross hatch of fiber. And then I like to use a single needle and start just by getting it attached. And if you work from the center out, you can tease away a little circle and stab. And then adjacent to that, tease away a little circle and stab. And this creates a really subtle dappling. And you can do this with like any of the horse coat colors on top of another horse coat color. Darker over lighter works best, obviously. So this was a little on the lighter side, meaning like thinner amount of fiber, so it'll have a more subtle look. And the rest of it you just want to stab in. I'll do a little bit heavier one on the shoulder so you can see the difference. Okay, and then, so this time I'm going to take a piece, cut it in half, and restack it, and then take another piece and cut it in half and restack it, and that'll be quite a bit heavier. I might not use all of it, but all right, so I still want to keep it thin. Put one going one way. And one going the other way. So this is quite a bit heavier than this one. So first I'm just going to stab it on. I like the way this is blending in more than I have, you know, kind of a hard edge there. So I'm going to tease that away and make it a little more blendy. Okay, and then I'm going to take the single needle and start from the center, make a circle. Try to be a little bit random, like you don't want them all lined up too perfectly. So because there's more fiber and I'm teasing it into the same sized circles, they're going to be more distinguished, like more dense and obvious.
So there's Dapples. They tend to be in those specific areas.
They can be all over. If there's just a little bit, they tend to be on the shoulder and butt.
Okay.
And neck. Well, that's not true. They can be all over. I would look up dapple gray and get a feel for what looks natural and usual. I guess I just usually do the butt and neck for some reason.
Oh yeah, they can be all over.
What do you see?
Just a wide variety. Some very leaning much more white, and some
real
much
dark
more gray.
And they can be gray with like a darker gray on top. Doesn't have to be gray on white.
Typed in dapple gray pony, and
is our pony on there?
The 5th picture.
That's cool. So you can dapple them all over, or just here and there.
Some are a lot more black.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that looks like really cool. And it's not, it doesn't take long. Looks natural. Yes, I'm tooting my own horn on that one. I've loved this technique. Now we just need to come up with one for Brindle, because that is a beast. Okay, I have a spray bottle here just with some water. So I'm just going to spritz my mane and tail a little bit. And then give it some crunch. And it will, it sort of naturally curls a little bit. That's the mohair that's in here, carrying the curl. All right, and then we need a little white dot in the eye, and we can try some eyelashes. I think that I may have used a little bit of black merino, which I do not have here. We can use the core and just show the technique, but it is the tiniest bit of fiber. Same with the white dot, such a small amount of fiber. And I like to use my twist on this because it just gets that white dot right in there without denting things too much. And if you keep stabbing in the same place, it'll stay small.
So they get more dappled as they age? No. Let's see.
They get less dappled as they age. So remember how I said that grays start black?
Ah, yes.
So they start dark, then they dapple, and then those lighten up.
As a horse ages, it will get lighter. During this process is when you see the dapples.
Yeah.
And it changes throughout the year depending on the season.
Oh. Yes, all horses do. When they get fuzzy. I'm going to put some white on his forehead because I don't like this. I don't want all this color change right here. I want it around his eyeballs, but not all on his head here. Yeah, so they're like a kind of a light fuzzy color in the winter, and then a sleeker, shiny, darker color in the summer. Or if they have their winter coat and you clip them, look up like horse blanket clip or something like that.
Ages 2 to 6 is when they have their most impressive dapples.
Nice.
A blanket coat?
Clip.
Yeah, I am so not a horse person, clearly. Yeah. Clipping the horse's thick winter coat minimizes sweat.
Yeah, so if you're exercising your horse and they're all shaggy and wintry, then they can sweat a lot, and then it takes a lot to cool them off. So people clip them. But do you see the difference in the coat color? Just blending the ears in a little bit.
They use like a shaver?
Clippers.
Does that stress a horse out?
Some horses can be like, what are you doing to me? But they generally do fine. Like, they get used to it.
Some of these look very cool.
The clipped horses?
Yeah. Who knew? What? I mean, a lot of people knew, but I didn't know. There's just a bunch of different kinds of clips.
Yes, there's the saddle clip and
the trace clip.
Yeah. It's not like
the chaser clip. Yeah, the chaser clip.
So it just depends on like what kind of exercising you're doing. I feel like something's a little wrong in the mouth, and a reference picture would help me. It might be that there's a little too much lower lip. And I'm going to take away this strong difference between the gray chin and the dark nose. So I'm going to put a little bit of gray here. That'll help as well. Yeah, that's better. When you get to little color changes and details, just use the smallest amount of fiber to make a difference that you can. You don't want to glom on a bunch of wool if you're happy with your sculpture shape.
Have you ever clipped a horse?
Mm-hmm. And then we clipped our dog. So,
oh man,
my childhood dog on the farm was named Whoopit, and she was like some kind of poodle mix, which would be a very desirable thing these days. But back then, it was like she was total mutt, like shaggy face, black, like medium-sized dog. Well, she was only like 6 months old, and we were, due to spay her, but apparently she got busy with the neighbor's golden retriever.
Oh.
So I was in high school and I was in school, and I can't remember if they did it over the intercom, but they were like, 8 puppies, 10 puppies. You have 12 puppies. This mutt had 12 golden doodles, basically. Aww. Like, they were beautiful dogs. Some of them looked smooth coated. Some of them were super shaggy. So one was called Raymond. He was big dog, gold, had all the fluff. But on the farm, this was back before all of the advancement in products and stuff. They got ticks.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were like, let's clip him. So we sedated him because we needed, we wanted him to be relaxed and comfortable and be able to do it. And for some reason, we started like here and we went up and we did his legs and his neck and his body. And then he woke up. So he looked like a lion in like après ski boots. Like he had like fluff from here down. And then, so he just like ran around all summer like that. But we weren't going to subject him to any clipping without a little relaxation medicine. So, oh my gosh. What else? Little eyelashes. So yeah, I'm pretty sure on this one, I used black merino, and it's just a teeny tiny, if you have black fur, any black long staple fiber that you have. I'm going to do it with the core because that's going to work fine as well. So I'm going to pull it into an even little, piece of fiber, and I'm going to put the center on the top of the eye. Now the nice thing about black core is I don't need a staple because the core is the staple. And I'm just going to stab the center in and then pull the two ends together. So it's a teeny tiny fur technique. And then you just cut the extra off. So it gives them that nice doe-eyed, big eye. And horses really do have pronounced eyelashes because they have big eyes, so it helps them stay free of debris.
So this says dapples don't show up until they're about a year old.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes horses are born like a color and you don't even really know what color they're going to totally be, especially if it's like a dun or... I think that's it.
So sassy.
I know. I know. Oh boy. I'll do my dapples on the other side. And I'll play with my mane and tail to get it the way I want it. And I might sculpt the face a little bit more. He's looking a little bit like this pony we had called Zot. Isn't that a terrible name? I think his name was Benjamin. I don't know, Zot or Benjamin. But he had a really clunky head for a little pony. And he's looking a little bit like that. So I'll try to give him a little more dish and refinement in his nose. But that is the process. It's a lot of fun. I think those are some good updates and good results, and I hope you guys have good results.
Giddy up.
Yeah. And you can share your pictures on our Facebook group called Sarafina Felting Fanfare. If you're not already a member, look into it. We like to share our projects, and you can ask questions there, get inspired there. I know I do. And the pony supply packs are at sarafinafiberart.com. What else do we need to let everyone know?
I don't know.
You don't have a closing idiom?
I don't. There were a few we did not discuss.
I mean, giddy up's pretty good.
Giddy
we'll go
up.
with that.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.